A quiet signal stirs within you, subtle but undeniable. Awakening isn't random. It calls to the soul that has trained itself through discipline, patience, and relentless attention to mind, body, and spirit. Those who answer it feel a shift deep inside, as though the world has tilted, revealing currents invisible to most. Here, you will uncover the hidden signs that only the most powerful chosen ones experience when spiritual awakening begins. You will learn how the body whispers before the mind fully understands, how ancient Shaolin practices prime the soul for transformation, and why true awareness can quietly reshape your life. Awakening is rarely dramatic. It doesn't crash through your day with fanfare. It grows through years of small, consistent practices, breathing, mindful movement, observation of thought, and disciplined energy cultivation. These practices, drawn from centuries-old Shaolin wisdom, prepare the spirit to recognize subtle shifts and respond with clarity. You'll discover lesser-known methods of tuning energy, observing the mind without attachment, and turning life's challenges into catalysts for inner mastery. By the end, the signs of awakening will become unmistakable. You'll understand that those who feel these shifts are already walking the path of profound inner power, even if the world remains blind to it. Awakening is not an event, it is a continuous unfolding, a quiet revolution within that transforms perception, presence, and purpose. Welcome to Shaolin Soulfire, where ancient wisdom meets modern clarity. Subscribe now to join a journey into hidden strength, silent mastery, and the subtle signals that guide the chosen toward true awakening. The body speaks long before the mind understands. Subtle tremors, sudden bursts of energy, or quiet unease often arrive first, as if the soul is whispering through muscle and bone. Restlessness can grip the hands, the chest, or the legs, and sensitivity to light, sound, or even emotions becomes heightened. These are not inconveniences, they are signs that transformation is underway. Shaolin training teaches that the body is the first teacher. Every sensation, every tension, every pulse carries meaning. When the mind grows still, the body reveals the hidden currents of qi, the life force flowing through every vein and fiber. To ignore these signals is to walk blind. To honor them is to begin understanding the subtle architecture of self-mastery. In the quiet moments, when breath deepens and movement slows, the patterns of energy become visible. A surge of heat in the chest may mark a breakthrough. A sudden fatigue might indicate the release of old stagnant energy. Even discomfort becomes a message, a nudge from the spirit that change is imminent. Those who have trained the body to listen do not resist these signals. They breathe through them, flow with them, and allow them to guide the next action. Transformation begins not in thought but in sensation. The body opens the first door, and through attentive presence, the mind follows. Shaolin masters spend years refining this dialogue, practicing disciplined movements, meditation, and mindful routines so that no whisper of energy is ignored. The restless moment becomes a lesson, the fatigue, a teacher, the sudden sensitivity, a map pointing toward growth. Through the body the invisible becomes tangible. Through attention the subtle becomes clear. Spiritual awakening starts here, in the muscles, the nerves, the quiet awareness that observes without judgment and responds without haste. Eyes open yet seeing more than the surface, this is the way of the chosen. Their awareness stretches beyond faces, gestures, and words. They feel currents of intention, subtle shifts in energy, and patterns that often go unnoticed by the ordinary mind. The world becomes a living tapestry, each thread vibrating with meaning, and they move through it with quiet clarity. Mindfulness sharpens this perception. Every breath, every step, every pause becomes a practice. It is not mere observation, it is presence incarnate. The body, the senses, and the mind align to receive what is often invisible, the tension behind a smile, the hesitation behind a word, the rhythm of an unseen force guiding events. Each moment is examined without attachment, each detail absorbed without judgment. Ancient Shaolin teachings speak of this as the cultivation of inner sight. The masters train not only the body but the awareness that inhabits it. Through repetitive forms, meditative stillness, and conscious movement, they refine the ability to notice what escapes ordinary attention. A shift in the wind, the tone of a voice, the subtle tightening of a muscle, these all become messages. They learn to read life as if it were script, decoding signals and responding with precision. Discipline turns observation into mastery. It is not a fleeting skill but a lifelong refinement. The chosen do not rush. They allow perception to deepen naturally, like water settling clear. In this clarity they act with purpose. They see the currents before they crash, the intentions before they manifest, and the patterns that shape destiny long before it unfolds. Through this practice, the ordinary becomes extraordinary. Every breath becomes a teacher, every glance a lesson, every interaction a mirror. The chosen move through the world awake, guided by insight that arises from disciplined presence and quiet mastery of the self. The grip of the ego softens, almost imperceptibly at first. What once seemed urgent, the need to prove, to possess, to control, begins to lose its hold. The chosen notice a quiet freedom emerging, as if the mind itself is shedding unnecessary weight. Petty attachments, long carried like stones in the heart, begin to fall away, leaving space for clarity and stillness. Shaolin philosophy teaches that humility is the cornerstone of mastery. True strength is not flaunted, it is quiet, disciplined, and aware. The ego's illusions of control are replaced by a deeper understanding. Life flows in patterns that cannot be forced, yet can be observed, respected, and gently guided. Those who practice daily discipline, through meditation, movement, and mindful ritual, find that surrendering the small illusions does not weaken them. On the contrary, it strengthens the connection to something far greater within. Even ordinary moments begin to reveal their lessons. A missed opportunity no longer triggers frustration, a criticism no longer cuts as deeply. Instead, each event becomes a reflection, a subtle teacher pointing toward self-mastery. The mind learns patience, the heart learns restraint, and the body learns to move with ease instead of tension. This fading of attachment is not passive. It requires awareness, vigilance, and a willingness to witness the ego's whispers without yielding. The chosen practice this every day, in small moments, resisting the impulse to dominate, letting go of fleeting desires, observing thoughts without judgment. Through this surrender, alignment grows. Strength no longer seeks outward validation but arises from a deep inner reservoir. Humility becomes not an act but a state of being. In this quiet, the soul recognizes its place in the greater flow, moving with precision, clarity, and calm, no longer bound by the fragile constructs of the ego. A stillness settles within, like a deep pool untouched by the ripples above. Even when the world erupts in noise and confusion, the mind retains a quiet center. This calm is not the absence of movement or challenge. It is a presence that observes without being swept away. Thoughts may come and go, emotions may surge, yet beneath it all a steady awareness endures. Meditation is the doorway to this inner sanctuary. Through deliberate breathing, focused attention, and repeated practice, the mind learns to watch itself. It notices every thought, every impulse, without grasping or rejecting. The chosen ones cultivate this observer, allowing it to rise above fleeting concerns. In the disciplined rhythm of ritual, whether a morning posture, a sequence of movements, or a silent reflection, the mind trains itself to remain anchored even in turbulence. Ancient Shaolin masters spoke of this as the cultivation of the inner witness. The body, breath, and mind are aligned, not to escape the world, but to navigate it with clarity. Each movement, each pause, each measured breath becomes a tool to refine attention, to deepen presence, and to dissolve the chaos that normally dictates reaction. Over time, the calm becomes reflexive. Challenges that once triggered anxiety now encounter a measured response. The inner observer notices the patterns of thought and emotion, understanding their impermanence, and the mind responds with precision rather than instinct. Even anger, fear, or uncertainty are seen as passing clouds, not storms to be battled. This state is not fragile or fleeting, it is a cultivated mastery. Through meditation and ritual, discipline and patience, the mind learns to rest in its own depth. From this quiet center, clarity emerges naturally, guiding action, illuminating perception, and allowing the soul to move with unwavering presence, even when the world around it trembles. Paths that once seemed random begin to converge. Moments fall into place with a quiet inevitability, as if the world itself is responding to an unseen rhythm. Life starts to align, not by force or desire, but through presence and awareness cultivated over time. The chosen notice these subtle orchestrations, sensing the invisible threads connecting events, people and decisions. Signs appear in whispers, a phrase overheard at the right moment, a chance encounter that shifts perspective, a sudden clarity that illuminates a previously hidden truth. These are not mere coincidences. They are the language of a universe that responds to stillness, attention, and disciplined practice. The body, mind, and spirit, when trained through years of mindful effort, can recognize these nudges and move with them rather than against them. Ancient Shaolin teachings describe this as attuning to the Tao of life, flowing with currents instead of resisting them. The masters train the body to be alert, the mind to be receptive, and the heart to act without attachment. In this alignment, what once felt like struggle becomes effortless, not because obstacles disappear, but because perception sharpens. Every challenge, every delay, every unexpected turn becomes part of a larger pattern, visible only to those who have honed the inner eye. Trust is not passive. It is a disciplined choice, grounded in observation and experience. Chosen souls learn to move through life with patience, sensing the subtle cues that guide action and decision. The world no longer feels chaotic. It reveals itself as a network of signs, teaching lessons through hidden patterns. Through this practice, life itself becomes a teacher. Each alignment, each synchronicity confirms that mastery is not just about control or strength. It is about presence, awareness, and the patient cultivation of harmony with forces that move quietly, yet inevitably, in the background of all things. The storms grow stronger, yet the spirit stands firm. Challenges arrive not to punish, but to refine. Every moment of discomfort, every obstacle, is a mirror reflecting the strength within. The chosen feel these trials intensely, but they no longer shatter the heart or cloud the mind. Instead, each difficulty becomes a teacher, revealing the contours of resilience that lie dormant until tested. Shaolin training embodies this principle. Mastery is never granted without resistance. Through years of disciplined practice, through repeated forms, rigorous conditioning, and mindful attention to every movement, the body and mind learn to endure. Pain is not avoided, it is met, observed, and integrated. Weakness is not denied, it is transformed into insight. Discipline becomes the backbone of transformation, a quiet, unwavering structure that supports the rising self even when the world presses heavily against it. Within this discipline, the chosen discover an amplified sense of awareness. The senses sharpen, not only to the movements of the body but to the currents of thought, emotion, and energy surrounding them. Subtle changes in tone, posture, or intention are noticed instantly. The mind becomes a precise instrument, attuned to nuance, capable of perceiving what most overlook. This heightened perception is not vanity, it is clarity. It allows the chosen to navigate life with intention, to act decisively, and to respond rather than react. Each challenge faced with awareness and composure deepens mastery. Each moment of resistance endured strengthens the quiet confidence that comes from knowing the self has been tempered like steel in fire. Through struggle, through discipline, through conscious engagement with discomfort, the chosen move toward a higher harmony. Their spirit remains unbroken, their presence becomes steady, and their awareness expands, proof that true mastery is not an end, but a continual refinement shaped in the crucible of resistance. With awakening comes a subtle gravity. Every thought, every word, every action carries weight. Choices that once seemed trivial now ripple outward, touching more than just the self. The chosen feel energy moving through them, alive and responsive, guiding decisions with a precision born of presence and practice. This is not burden, it is awareness, a discipline that shapes the way they inhabit the world. Shaolin teachings remind that mastery is not only inward, it radiates. The way one moves, speaks, or even breathes can influence the space around them. Through mindful cultivation of mind, body, and spirit, the chosen learn to recognize this unseen interplay. Awareness becomes a tool, a map of intention, showing how subtle energies connect people, situations, and outcomes. They sense tensions before they erupt, opportunities before they appear, and emotions before they surface. Discipline anchors this awareness. Through meditation, ritualized movement, and daily mindfulness, the chosen sharpen their ability to feel energy without being swept away. Impulses are tempered, reactions are measured, presence is no longer passive, it is active, deliberate, and conscious. The soul begins to act as a stabilizing force, a quiet current that shapes the collective atmosphere without force or pride. This understanding transforms perspective. No action is meaningless, no encounter is insignificant. Even a glance, a gesture, a pause can shift currents in ways unseen. The chosen move through life with the knowledge that influence begins within. The mastery of self becomes the mastery of effect. Every choice, every intention, every breath contributing to the larger pattern of life. In this way, awakening is both gift and responsibility. Energy is felt, directed, and honored. Awareness is lived, not merely understood. The chosen become quiet architects of their world, guiding, observing, and harmonizing with the subtle pulse of collective consciousness. Awakening is not a moment captured in thought, it is a life fully felt. It moves beyond ideas, beyond fleeting realizations, and settles into the body, the mind, and the rhythm of each day. The chosen live it, breathe it, and let it shape every gesture, every decision, every interaction. Insight alone cannot sustain transformation, it must be woven into the fabric of daily existence, made tangible through practice. Each morning begins with quiet intention, simple movements, deliberate breaths, and mindful awareness set the tone for the hours ahead. Shaolin wisdom teaches that mastery is forged in repetition, in the disciplined attention to small acts performed with presence. Walking, stretching, lifting, or pausing, each becomes a ritual, a conversation between the self and the forces that shape life. Through these routines, the ordinary is transformed into a practice of refinement. Thought itself becomes a tool. Ideas are observed, desires measured, and intentions directed with care. The mind is trained to notice its own patterns, to recognize where energy dissipates, and to channel focus toward what aligns with purpose. In this way, awareness is no longer occasional, it flows seamlessly from action to thought, from movement to stillness. Even moments of rest or solitude carry meaning. Meditation, reflection, and mindful pauses are not escapes, they are continuations of the practice, allowing insight to settle into the body and inform future choices. Life itself becomes a canvas for disciplined presence, each action a brushstroke of inner mastery. Through this continuous engagement, the chosen begin to embody awakening rather than chase it. The practice of self-mastery is no longer separate from life, it is life itself, quiet, deliberate, and unbroken. Awareness, discipline, and presence merge into a living rhythm, guiding the soul toward harmony, clarity, and a power that is both silent and unmistakable. Perception shifts quietly, almost imperceptibly, until the world no longer appears as fragmented or confusing. Truths emerge naturally, seen without the need to name them or push against them. The chosen notice patterns, connections, and realities as if the veil of illusion has thinned. There is no judgment, no rush to understand, only awareness that observes, accepts, and moves with precision. Shaolin teachings call this the mind at rest, yet fully alive. It is not emptiness in the sense of absence, but a stillness that allows clarity to arise effortlessly. The body and mind act as one, decisions flow without hesitation, and action meets circumstance with exactness. This is the sign of inner unification, when thought, perception, and motion converge. The individual becomes a vessel of awareness, responding to life with measured ease and insight. Even in chaos, this clarity holds. A sudden challenge or unforeseen event does not disturb the inner rhythm. The mind does not cling, resist, or react impulsively. Instead, it notes, assesses, and responds with calm authority. The chosen learn to trust this integration, understanding that the clarity they perceive is born from years of patient practice, mindful discipline, and constant observation. Energy is directed consciously. Every movement, word, and decision arises from this deep perception. The ordinary becomes deliberate, the moment becomes meaningful, and the self moves in harmony with the currents of life, rather than against them. Through consistent training, breath, posture, meditation, and ritual, the mind rests in its own center while still navigating the world with precision. Awareness no longer wavers, it flows continuously. This is mastery of the inner and outer, the seen and unseen, and it is the quiet hallmark of those who have aligned themselves fully, body, mind, and spirit, with the deeper currents of existence. The spiritual awakening of the most powerful chosen ones is not dramatic or loud, it is subtle, deep, and transformative. It emerges as a merging of discipline, mindfulness, and inner mastery. The body, mind, and spirit begin to speak the same language, guiding the individual toward alignment with higher truth. Those who recognize these symptoms are already walking the path of profound self-mastery,